Help is on the way.
Auditor of the powerful, standard bearer for common sense and liberty. Rooted in a Lee brother tradition stretching back to Richard Henry Lee. Virginia citizens and American patriots. This is the Scott Lee Show.
Why? Why is socialism so popular? In a word, fear. I want to discuss that with you. Can we agree on simple things? I mean, simple things like what W stands for in the NBA. And why are politicians always hate the country they're representing? We'll get into all that next. This on the Scott Lee Show.
The founders wrote it down. Real Virginians lived it. And on this day, we carry it forward. The Scott Lee Show starts now.
Just outside the capital, the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thanks for checking us out at the LeeBrothers.com. LeeBrothers.com. I want you to go there and check out the Dennis Prager video, all at the LeeBrothers.com. And I promise you, it's worth 15 minutes. Maybe it's 20. Whatever it is. Get off your other stuff. Check that out, the LeeBrothers.com. LeeBrothers.com. Also, might want to look at the TikTok page for the show. I say that because it's just outrageous. I think the left has gone even more crazy, and they're now attacking some of the talk shows, and it's inflammatory. It's unbelievable. I'd love your input. Love for you to see it. Go check it out there at theleebrothers.com. It's under podcasting, radio, and those type of things. All right, little show update here. We'll be filling in for Jeff Katz here on News Radio WRVA in Richmond on Monday, the 10th, and then Wednesday, the 12th of August. So back behind the WRVA microphone. I'd love for you to check us out there at WRVA.com, and you'll see Monday, 3 to 6, and Wednesday, 3 to 6. All right, coming up in the show, I want to talk about the tax-free holiday here in Richmond or in Virginia. It might surprise you that I think it's a con. It's stupid policy. I'll see if I can get into that and change your mind a bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of tax cuts. I'll take them every chance I can get. But, man, what's this bad policy? We'll jump into that. Coke just realized, and this is all over social media right now. I just cannot believe it. But if you can, I didn't realize you could do this, but if you go to Coke's website, you can personalize a bottle with your name on it or a slogan or a statement, unless it's something have to do with Christianity and it's blocked. But everything else is okay. So we'll get into that. Spanberger on the roll here. She's continued on a couple different paths. We'll get to all that in the show. But the first thing I want to cover is how the left thinks. Now, one of the reasons I got into talk radio 20 years ago is because I like the debate. Not because I like to sit behind a microphone and throw snowballs and throw rocks and make things miserable for people, which is sometimes fun and entertaining. But I like the debate. I like to get into it. And I like to know how the other side thinks and why they think the way they do. I think one of the biggest examples of this that I just can't get my head around and wonder a lot is the whole trans debate. I mean, I could almost understand how they could support the homosexual gay thing. I mean, maybe I can understand that. But the trans thing, I always thought the homosexual movement, I'll be against that too. But to double down on this and to pile on, I've always thought that this becomes the breakdown of civilization. When we can't identify which restrooms to go into, it's essentially kind of over. I mean, then you can say, pack it in, we can't do simple things. Once you decide or forget why we introduced women's sports or have a difference between women's sports and men's sports, and once you forget that, it's like, I can't even talk to you. It's almost irrational. So I wanted to play some clips from you from the other side of this WNBA women's basketball. You've got this Sophie coming. You got all this stuff happening about the trans debate and how men should stick to men's sports and women to women. Seems reasonable. But there's this show called Gossip Sports, and it's very leftist. But here are these two women. Now, I actually think these people are probably trying to find a moral stance to take here. They think they're morally correct in upholding the trans movement. And so try to listen to this with that sense of what do they really feel and think? What are they bad people because they're supporting this radical dysphoria of thought for 12-year-olds? Or is there something more? They actually have a moral position to stand on. Listen to this take.
Now all these anti-trans protesters are showing up at outside WNBA games, and Sophie is still fanning the flames. She's treating this as like a WWE beef when it is actually a human rights issue that is just...
Okay, hang on a second. There you go, right there. And this is where I want to kind of see the left's point of view on this. Do they actually think it's a human rights issue? What human rights are being violated by not letting men play on women's teams? You see how two sides of this conversation just pass each other. It's like we can't even relate. This lady right here, I guarantee, thinks I'm sick. And I think she's sick, but I think we're passing each other on what we really agree on. Because let's just be honest. I mean, we all kind of agree on human rights. That's the whole thing. But to claim this is a human rights issue, I think is where the breakdown on logic has to end. That's where the left is on this. And all we're saying is it's not a human rights issue to play on women's sports if you're a man. How can it possibly be that way? And so walk with me through this a bit more.
Life harder for people who already do not have it that easy. And it's to your point, it's very transparent. It's very see-through.
Yeah. Well, it feels like a move out of Trump's playbook. Everything is television. Everything is pop culture and tabloidy. Even when, to your point, this is really a human rights issue. This isn't like this is like a fun Us Weekly headline,
Right.
with some celebrity drama.
So Trump's the one who brings in pop culture and makes this a big deal. I don't remember any conservative going, man, I cannot wait to argue about men's and women's locker rooms and men. This wasn't brought upon by conservatives. They don't want to talk about this. It's actually very, very simple. It ought to go away. But do you see where they're going and what their train of thought is? How is it that we can't agree on these simple things? Are we that far politically apart that we can't agree on what locker rooms to use? I mean, wouldn't it be great to have some of these simple things already solved and we could get back to arguing about tax cuts and whether we're going to fund health care for children and stuff like that? Of course. So I wish we could agree, but we can't. And of course, then there's Megan Rapinoe. This gal is full of hate. She is the most intolerant person on the entire planet by screaming tolerance. But her rant takes you back to this is a big political battle. And it doesn't have to be. I want to know how the left thinks on this and why the left thinks I'm crazy. I can see how many on the right look at the and why can't you just agree that men don't belong in locker room on men's sport? Why can't you do that? But Reagan Rapinoe brings us right back to the politics of it. Listen to this.
I want to address the controversy that is happening right now around trans women in sports. As you know, I've talked about this a lot and will continue to keep talking about this. I don't know Sophie, so I can only project what I see about her beliefs based on her actions. And seeing a picture of her with Riley Gaines after the game told me everything I need to know about what's happening. Riley Gaines has made it her life's mission to exclude trans people from public life.
Now stop. Megan, stop. That's ridiculous. Are you trying to make these women seem evil? You make them seem evil, like they want to kill trans people. That's not true. I mean, and that's the problem with the debate that I wish we could get past. Come on. These people that you're referring to, these two ladies, Riley Gaines and Sophie coming. These people just don't want to play in women's sports with men. They're not evil. They're not trying to crush trans people. If anything, they would love to help them. Why can't you see that, Megan?
She's directly tied to the Heritage Foundation, the authors of Project 2025, and now...
Go look that up. Go look at the Heritage Foundation, which I love, by the way. I think they're a great group. I have issues with some of the things, sure. Who doesn't with it? I mean, I disagree with myself half the time. But go look at what you can't call them evil either. Gosh, Megan, get out of your own way for a second. You're so full of hate and anger, you can't even look past what someone's position is to see their real position.
2026, who have now published a report that suggests that they want to repeal Title IX, the very piece of legislation that allowed athletes like Sophie and myself to compete in.
So funny. I'm going to make up a case that's not true. Then I'm going to be outraged by it and show people it's a straw man argument. You erect the wrong position of opponent and you tear it down because it's so easy. It's the straw man you erect, and it's easy to break it down. Logic 101, Megan just did that. It's a fallacy. That's not what they think. But if you can appoint your opponent as being someone who's evil and nasty, which Megan has done right now in this little comment, she's done both those things. They're evil people out to destroy trans people, destroy them entirely, hate them entirely, which isn't true. And then against Title IX, which isn't true.
Sports. But it frames the conversation as if we're protecting young girls from men being in WNBA locker rooms. Not happening. It villainizes trans girls as if they're somehow magically older than their peers or are men, when in reality, they are also young girls.
No, they're not. They're
These
boys.
laws are excluding kids.
What laws?
Kids.
What laws are excluding kids? Laws that boys can't play with girls? So Megan, 2026, you're brighter than our entire civilization since the founding of mankind on the planet, when we had separations for men and women. All of a sudden today, you're like, there shouldn't be one. That seems like a stretch and like you're smarter than everybody, but I guess.
From playing youth sports. If we want to have a conversation around elite sports, there are effective policies that have been in place for many years that no one noticed because they worked. So if anybody is taking these talking points as legit or believing they're protecting young girls in sports, I just have to ask, are you serious?
Yeah, we're kind of serious. Megan shoves it violently right into politics. Now, they take a moral position like they hold the tolerant view. But as I'm going to play for you here in a second, Coach, I think her name is Becky Hammond. She was asked by a reporter, these people hold these positions that men are men and women are women and that there should be women's sports and men's sports. Aren't they free to say that under the First Amendment? Now listen to Becky Hammond. Now this is where I just know I could never have a conversation with Becky Hammond. She doesn't want to seriously consider what the other side thinks, how they think, or what they're thinking. She is a very angry person, very bitter, and you'll tell when you listen to her. Here she is.
You're free to be a bigot and ignorant. You're also free to pay the consequences. Any kind of racist, homophobic comments, like, we don't need you as fans, don't want you as fans, just move on. You're not accepted here. But I'd rather shed light on cockroaches and let them scatter and get out.
So first of all, what is when is this? How did this debate all of a sudden turn to homophobic slurs and hate? How'd that happen? Is Sophie and Riley Gaines full of that? Of course not. Are we full of that? Are you full? Of course not. We didn't come out and say, in fact, it's never been that way. The conservatives always say, I don't care what you do whatever you want, but don't go in the women's locker room. It seems simple, but this woman says now we're bigots. You see how this is impossible to have a conversation? Back it up a bit. Here's more of it.
Scatter and get out. Old fans, new fans, there's just no place for it in women's basketball or in society in general.
No place for it in society in general. So who now wants to remove people from the society in general? Now, you know she's talking about people who disagree with gays or disagree with the lifestyle or disagree with trans kids at 12 have body parts cut off. That's what she's talking about. She wants to eliminate you from society. That's what she's fearing. You. I try so hard to imagine a world where we can actually sit down at a kitchen table and have a conversation about this. You know, I initially don't think a lot of the people have hate in their hearts like this. But when I listen to this coach and Megan Rapinoe, who I've always thought was repugnant on every level, it's impossible. Now we're trying to rationalize with people who are rational. And that's scary. All right, coming up, speaking of irrational, fear. Why is socialism taking hold? I want to explain that when I get back because there's more to this. It's not just a policy. In fact, it's further from policy than you might think. It deals with the emotion and kind of a Western American emotion. In 32 and a half seconds, I'm going to share that with you. TheLeeBrothers.com, TheLeeBrothers.com.
Patrick Henry was a loud, distrustful malcontent. And so are we.
Far-left radicals in Virginia don't want you to know they're siding with criminals over you. When a bill came forward to keep repeat violent felons off our streets, Democrats blocked it. At the same time, they blocked a bill to make our schools safer and a bill to make it easier to protect yourself. And Abigail Spanberger says if she's governor, she won't stop there. Her plan, ban what we need to defend ourselves. We require leaders who will fight for us, not for criminals. Paid for by Virginia Citizens Defense League.
Scott Lee, using the men's room his entire life. This is a Lee brother tradition. The Scott Lee Show.
Okay, that was pretty good. You go into a men's locker room and a women's locker room, you get whipped. If I see you in there with my daughter. All right, so this isn't hard. Check us out at TheLeeBrothers.com, TheLeeBrothers.com, outside the capital here of the home of Jefferson, Madison, and Henry. So why? Why the sudden, and it's not sudden, but there has always been an interest in socialism in some way, in some level. I don't know if you remember Ed Schultz. This wasn't so long ago. He was on CNN or wherever it was. He said this.
Here's some good socialism for you.
So he was a huge fan of it. And then you had this rep, Joe Garcia, I think was his name. And he said this on, I think it was the floor of the House when he said it.
The reason it is, we've proved that communism works. If you give everybody a good government job, there's no crime.
So what is under all this? What's really going on? I think it's, and I've always thought this, and I thought this actually at COVID, when COVID had first happened, because people swallowed the COVID mandates and the big government intervention in your life and took your job and forced you to do these things. And they did it because you were afraid. And you preferred some sort of comfort that government could provide over fear. In our culture today, we fear all kinds of things, but mainly in the Western culture, especially in America, we've been so blessed and sheltered and live a life that is way beyond what anyone can imagine in another country. We fear suffering. We fear all kinds of suffering. In fact, I was having a conversation the other day that death for so many of us in the West, in America, is so foreign that when it happens, we don't know how to deal with it. Imagine living in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, where death was common. I mean, my brother was killed in war. I mean, it was almost like a regular thing. And we understood death and suffering. In our own little perfect world, the little bubbles of Midlothian, Virginia, or Short Pump, Virginia, the county of Hanover, where you're living out there and everything's great and wonderful. And then you're told, wait a minute, healthcare could be expensive. That could be a struggle. I don't like that. And then a politician steps up and goes, I'm going to eliminate this fear in your life. And you embrace it. That's why they call it democratic socialism, because you can actually vote for socialism, which, by the way, is no different than regular socialism. I love how the left always says that. No, we're democratic socialists. People vote for it. So, and then the only way to get it back is by the force of gun. We've seen that in history. So you vote for this crap, and then the only way to go get it back is you got to have a war or some awful thing of that such. Fear, cowardness drives people to the big government elitist politician who grabs the nearest microphone and says, I'm going to take care of you. And you like that. I don't have to worry. I'll pay more if I don't have to worry, Scott. That's soft. It's cowardice. It's not American. And I fear for our country when we look at situations and we have a politician who is stroking that fear and then getting your vote for it. And it could be not only your own personal fear, but then a fear from others who are telling you that the billionaire is a problem or the millionaire is a problem, and that you ought to embrace this kind of new socialist direction. I'm reading a book right now called Capitalism and Freedom by Milton Friedman. It's an older book, but man, is it good. You can't have socialism and freedom. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. But until our country realizes that suffering is part of life and not fixed by some government elitist, whether it's Spanberger or Trump or anyone, until we realize that, we're going to continue to vote for socialism and we'll want more of it. Prager University is an amazing, Dennis Prager is amazing. He's one of the most, probably in my opinion, most well thought out, thought through talk show hosts in the country. 2 years ago, he fell down a flight of stairs and paralyzed. I think he's a quadriplegic at this point. He speaks about this fear of suffering and how he's able to overcome his issues because he was preparing himself that life is suffering. During one of his podcasts, he was interviewed, and the interviewer asked him this question. I wanted you to hear it.
That if people are afraid of any sort of discomfort, they will end up giving away their freedoms. And he talked about this on the left, but now he's warning us also on the right that Americans are becoming softer because of this fear of discomfort, this fear of suffering. And I wanted to bring this subject up to you because I think that you are an expert in human nature. And you have warned us in the past that there is no life without discomfort.
You got to hear his answer. Dennis Prager's answer and details will blow your mind. It's all at theleebrothers.com, theleebrothers.com. You can see that. But I think once we realize where we are as a country and why socialism sends to work, I mean, think about every politician who stands up there who's from the Democratic Socialist, who's saying the things that, you know, you pay too much for your house. I do. Can you fix that? I can, when you know you can't. You pay that much for health care. Can you fix that? I can. Of course, the answer is always, just give me more of your freedom, your money. I'll make government bigger, which makes the problem bigger, which makes you go to government to fix the problem the government created. Nice little circle you're in there. But part of these Democrat socialists of America that always interests me is how they win hating the country. Now, I don't know if this exists in other countries, that politicians, I think we have a more of a free republic than most countries, so it's probably not as prominent. But I feel like half the politicians running in our country hate the very country they're running for. I feel like everything they despise the Constitution. They despise the First and Second Amendments. They openly trash through the Democrat Socialists of America our Constitution, the Supreme Court. Where's this come from? I mean, no other country does this. I'm sure of it. Not only that, where did you come up with the idea to run while trashing the country? While saying some of the worst things about the country? even hating Thanksgiving and still able to run as governor in Minnesota. How is that possible? You would think someone would say, look, we all love the country. We all think the Republic is great. We think Jefferson, Madison, Washington, amazing people, got it right. But then I don't feel like that's what we talk about and argue about. And then when I hear this Francisca Hong, who says that Thanksgiving was a problem, here's part of that segment.
Where you said Americans should cancel Thanksgiving, should have done this in 1621. The post has been deleted. Republicans have been highlighting it. Do you still believe that Thanksgiving should be canceled?
Now, before she answers this question, this is what I'm talking about. How could you, I think some of the foundational holidays that our country has is obviously July 4th, Independence Day. I would absolutely put Easter in that. But Thanksgiving and into the Christmas holiday? What politician in America hates Thanksgiving? Wish it wasn't there. Wants to get rid of it. How can that be an American politician? This is my point. We kicked over a rock somewhere. These people came running out and they're running for office and nobody seems to say, you don't even like the country. Get out of here. Here's her answer to this. Listen to this woman. This Francisca Hong from Minnesota. Listen to this.
I'm a chef and...
Hang on, I got to stop. I'm a chef? The first thing you say is, I'm a chef? How is that even... I busted out laughing when I heard that. That cannot be her. And it was. I'm a chef. Now, she goes on to explain this. Yes, I'm a chef. And it's an advantage that I'm a chef. And then she somehow brings it back to Thanksgiving. Listen to this.
I'm a chef, and one of the first meals that I made that was for the community when I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal. But
by all means then. Oh, of course, if you were a chef and made dinner during Thanksgiving, then you really do like it, right? Would it just slip out of your mouth one day? I don't like Thanksgiving. I wish it never had. I mean, would anything like that ever slip out of your mouth? Of course not, because you don't hate the country. You don't hate Thanksgiving. It doesn't slip out of your mouth. Nothing like that slips out. Okay, this isn't like a Freudian slip of a word of some sort. You came out and said you don't like Thanksgiving. You wish it would never existed. But because you cooked on Thanksgiving, it means something? I mean, this woman... unbelievable.
When I was 16 was a Thanksgiving meal, but Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities. And so I think...
Stop. It's a time of incredible pain for communities. What? How is Thanksgiving, the holiday itself, about pain from Thanksgiving? How's that possible? Who is this woman? Who are these people that hate the country, want everything against it? Capitalism and freedom made the country great. Now these people are running against those two things, against the founding of our country, against Thanksgiving. And she's the nominee. This isn't like some strange person that Scott Lee dug up, and that's not how people think. It isn't. I feel like that's how everybody thinks right now. This is exactly where we are.
Communities. And so I think I wanted to make sure that people understood that there are multiple views, but views can evolve. And the position that I'm running for right now, and I think my background as a chef will actually help me become a better governor that's able to bring more people to the table.
Wow. Her chef and cooking ability will help bring people to the table. This isn't a cooking class. This is government. It's a government of the United States. I think you're in the wrong place. All right, coming up, I want to talk about why I think the sales tax holiday in Virginia, it's the wrong policy. It's I do this. I think I do this every year, and I get so much reaction to it. And then I want to come back to Spanberger for a second, and why she restored rights to felons. We'll get to that in 33 and a half seconds. TheLeeBrothers.com, TheLeeBrothers.com.
Patrick Henry was a loud, distrustful malcontent. And so are we.
Every corner of the business world is being disrupted. Opportunities are everywhere, but so are the pitfalls. Are you ready? For 2 decades, Growth Strategy Inc. has delivered winning strategies across every industry in the US, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. They don't just identify your opportunities. They build the dynamic path to help you seize them. The founder served as a senior official in the Reagan White House and has been a corporate board member and CEO himself. He knows what it takes to win at every level. Companies of any size, any industry, any challenge. Reach out now at growthstrategy.us. James Rosebush is ready for you. growthstrategy.us.
Our version of the Federalist Papers. Without all that reading, this is The Scott Lee Show.
Helps when you turn your mic on. Glad to be back with you here outside the Capitol. I want to thank you for checking us out. Our YouTube page, our Rumble page. You're signing up for the iTunes. You get the blast of the show. The TikTok page is like stupid. It's just really been good engaging with you. And don't forget to check me out on the 10th. It's the 10th and the 12th of August, filling in for Jeff Katz, 3 to 6 p.m. on News Radio WRVA. And you can find out more at WRVA.com. All right, so our governor's like, speaking of people who are like, okay, I got to understand how this woman thinks. So she blanket pardoned some monster number of people. 66,000 new voters are now going to be voting in the Commonwealth. These are felons. Now, the reason you don't know who these people are is because she bypassed the process. The process typically, and just to give you an example, Youngkin only pardoned 10,000 in 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. All 4 years he only gave felon rights back, or rights for felons to vote back for 10,000. Spanberger did it one day for 66,000. What's the difference? Does Spanberger care more than Youngkin? Is Spanberger's heart bigger than Youngkin's? I mean, what's the difference between the two? And I thought about this because, again, it comes back to this idea. How does the left think? I mean, is Spanberger evil for this? I don't know that she's evil, but I feel like her heart is bigger than her brain, the Cousin Eddie thing. And Youngkin's like, wait a minute. The process is that they submit to the governor why their voting rights should come back. And among the things to think about is, what was he in prison for, or she? What was their card? Are they still on parole? Is there a period of parole? Were the victims of the crime ever compensated? How would they feel about this? What about those who never created a felony and are voting? Will this guy outwash that? So there's a process of restoring voting rights. And I think anybody who's not a felon, when they understand what felonies are, can understand that, that should be the process. Yet Spanberger just blankets 66,000 new voters like that. Now, I'm digging into who these people are. They're murderers. They're people who tried to murder. They're felons. You can think of all the reasons you would be a felon. These are the people now who vote right beside you. Is that right and fair? Spanberger thinks it is. I think Youngkin did it right. Here's Spanberger calling one of the people that she restored the rights for. Listen to this.
Hi, Mr. Patterson. This is Abigail Spanberger.
Spanberger. Was that a question? Listen how she says her name, by the way. This is just, okay, this is no reason. No one's going to not vote for her for this. It's just, I feel like Spanberger's way over her head. I feel like she's one of those girls that who just said, hey, I can do this. There was no reason she should have beat Congressman Dave Bratt. That was a complete fluke. Weirdest thing ever. The whole timing. She's horrible on the stomp. She's horrible in everything. And this just gives me, when I heard her say this, I was like, listen to her.
Hi, Mr. Patterson. This is Abigail Spanberger.
Abigail Spanberger. Can you do it again for me? This is Abigail Spanberger.
Abigail Spanberger.
I'm sorry. Can we please take that clip and chop it up and use it in the future? It's just too fun. Anyway, she continues.
Hi, Mr. Patterson. This is Abigail Spanberger.
Oh my gosh.
How are you?
I'm doing fine.
The team was telling me about all the incredible work that you do and the mentoring and the mentorship work that you do. And I just wanted to say thank you for that. And also just congratulate you on being able to use your voice.
I'm so thankful for you making that move and restoring those rights for the 66,000 people plus,
Now, this sounds like a great guy, right? I don't know what felony he committed. Sounds great. He has a family. I saw a couple of pictures. Great. Married, kids, the whole bit. Super. He could have been pardoned by anyone. You submit your pardon to the governor. Governor reviews your case and decides that. Instead of this blanket thing, I noticed that she didn't call, the guy that's in the MS-13 gang. She didn't do that. Why not? She called the guy that she probably would have pardoned anyway. But she gets credit for this, to see that all 66,000 of these felons, Scott, are just like this guy. Why are you such a fearmonger and a mean person? Because I think the process works. Because I think they should be evaluated after they committed a felony against their own people and the reason they were in jail. That's why. Because it was the right way to do it instead of Spanberger's just blankets. But that's the left for you. That's how their heart is. They don't see it. It's really, like I just said, their brain is just so big, or their heart is so big that it just overruns their brain and how they think. And I'm sure Spanberger has children, cares about them, but still does stuff. And by the way, where were these people? These people are probably be screaming if Trump did something like this, or Trump, they got upset with Trump pardoning the January 6 people. What's the difference? I mean, so they're pardoned, they can vote. I mean, they got all mad about that, and I don't know. It seems very frustrating. All right, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is kind of in an interesting position here. They allow for you to create a message on a Coke bottle, so you can put it on your can. Go on the website. You can type in what's allowed, and then it pops up on the can if it's allowed. And if it doesn't pop up, it says this is in violation of our policy and the standards. Here's just a quick clip of a little bit happening here.
Okay, so a friend just sent this to me about Coca-Cola, and we need to go see if it's true. It looks like if you go to the Coke website where you can personalize a can with someone's name on it, they will allow virtually anything under the sun except for Jesus is King. Okay, let's try the devil is king.
Oh, that works.
Nice. How about we swap this guy out for Jesus? The name or phrase you've submitted is not permitted. How about Allah is good? Okay.
All right, so
Jesus is good.
You can begin to see the path here, right? I mean, this was done by people. People had to have done this.
Satan is good.
That one works. So here we find ourselves with the situation. This isn't like some fluke. Especially when you can see the devil is king is allowed, Jesus is king is blocked, Allah is good is allowed, Jesus is good is blocked. This is a purposeful attempt to block this. Why? I mean, who did it? If I'm the CEO of Coke, I'm like, what in the name of Sam Hill's going on here? Who would do such a thing? I want to know. I want answers to this now. And when you think about it, it's like, why the absolute hate for things like that? They had to put that algorithm in there. They had to purposely do that. Why isn't it the opposite? What if it said Allah is good is not allowed? Do you imagine the outrage? The cry across the country? The press would be all over him. There's a good chance that you don't even know about this. You may be hearing about this for the first time right here. But if it was the other way around, Coke would have an apology immediately. They would be campaigns to boycott Coke. It'd be unbelievable. And the Christians are just like, par for the course. It's just the way it is. I mean, really, there's not going to be any protests. In fact, people are still going to go buy Coke. I'm not a big Coke fan, but good. I feel better about it even now, but there's not a lot of protesting going on the conservative side of things. Not time for this mess. They can laugh at this, mock it, make fun of it. Sure, it's stupid, but so is everything else in the world right now. It's like complete insanity, including this tax-free weekend crap. Okay, Scott, where are you going? Yep, the tax-free weekend is stupid policy. It's like everybody waits. You build up all this stuff. People are saying, "Oh, we do so much business in tax." No kidding. You know why? Because everyone kind of waits for that time to go buy stuff on the tax-free weekend. And if it's good for one weekend, why not make it good across the entire time if it makes sense? Oh, Scott, that's just being silly now. Look, I like not paying taxes. So I'm sure in some cases, but I don't, but you could run out and buy things on the tax-free weekend. You're welcome to do that. It's the 7th through the 9th here this weekend here outside of Richmond and Virginia. So apparently it's designed for school supplies, clothing, and footwear, hurricane and emergency preparedness products, and Energy Star water sense products. Now, see, I'm already pissed because what industry are you in this weekend that somehow your lobbyist failed? Your lobbyist failed to get you listed here. But if you're selling, I don't know, washers and dryers, somehow you get in the game. But if you're selling, I don't know, a hammock, you're out. We picked the winners and losers here, Scott Lee. And all that happened in the capital of the Commonwealth of Virginia. These politicians got together and said, who's the winner this weekend and who the losers? I mean, what if you're selling, okay, let's just go to the things that are not allowed. What if you are selling briefcases? Sorry, not allowed. What if you're selling protective equipment? What, Scott? What are you talking about? Yeah, masks, cleaning room apparel, ear protectors, face shields. Why can't they be included, Scott? Isn't there a weekend for them? Why isn't there a weekend for helmets? Why isn't there a weekend for handbags and watches and wallets? They deserve one. Doesn't the industry they deserve? Why are only these people allowed? Safety belts, tool belts, welder's gloves, not included. Oh, here's other recreational equipment. What about sporting equipment? I can't buy golf clubs this weekend? Nope. How about goggles, elbow guards? These things don't matter? What kind of politician gets to make this decision outside of me? See what I mean? Tax-free holidays, picking the winners and losers. I want to be in the room. I want to be in the room when they decide who gets the tax-free and who doesn't. Because first of all, the ABC store would be tax-free this weekend only. Why can't they be part of that? But what is it? What is included? Lingerie. That's included. Let's see. Garters and garter belts, girdles, nightgowns. These are included, but others are not. So the problem with the tax-free weekend, if you want to have one, make it a big one. Make it a good one. Make it across the board for everybody. Every industry gets to participate. That's my idea of a tax-free weekend. But it's for the children, Scott. It's for school. No, it's not. How's lingerie for the children? You see, some lobbyists got in there and won. I want to know why we didn't win. Why do the things I want aren't there? My kids are all grown. They're not even in school anymore. I'm a grandfather now. My 2-year-old granddaughter isn't going to school yet. I can't take advantage of this. But you can buy generators, Scott. I have one. Give me something else. I'll tell you what. Why don't you just give me a coupon that I can go anywhere in the Commonwealth and not pay the sales tax? You see why I hate it? I bet you do now. Just found out this week, especially as we wrap up the show, Americans pay more in taxes than they do on food, clothing, and housing for the first time in our country history. That's outrageous. That stat came from Unleash Poverty or Prosperity. Unleash Prosperity Group sent this out. And it's embarrassing. So all your money, you're spending more money for government than you are for food, and clothing.
Here's some good socialism for you.
And, of course, housing. All right, that is it's a wrap of the radio program. I want to thank you for checking us out at theleebrothers.com, theleebrothers.com. Check me out Monday and Wednesday, filling in for Jeff Katz on News Radio 1140 WRA. Now that's all you've heard. You heard a lot. Here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind.
If I speak with a silver tongue, convince a crowd, but don't have love, I leave a bitter taste with every word I say.
My friends, we did it. We weren't just marking time. We made a difference. We made the city stronger. We made the city freer. And we left her in good hands. All in all, not bad. Not bad at all. And so, God bless you, and God bless the United States of